Recording. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I once again welcome all of you to this Bhakti Sanga Japan newsletter interview for the month of December. And today we have with us His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhuji, a very special speaker of Bhakti Sanga, and he is also known as a spiritual scientist. And I just want to read introduction about Prabhuji before going on to the interview. So, His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhuji is a monk, mentor, and spiritual author. He has been educated in electronics and telecommunications engineering from the Government College of Engineering, Pune. And Prabhuji subsequently served as a software engineer in a prominent multinational software corporation. Seeing the prevalent problems of stress, depression, addiction, and overall misdirection, all due to a lack of spirituality, he felt inspired to dedicate his life to the cause of sharing the spiritual wisdom of the Bhagavad Gita. And Prabhuji travels all over the world from Australia to America, giving talks on spiritual subjects in universities such as Princeton and Cambridge, and companies such as Intel and Microsoft. Prabhuji is the author of the world's only Gita daily feature, wherein he writes daily 300-word inspirational reflection on a verse from the Bhagavad Gita. As of now, he has written over 1700 Gita meditations that are posted on GitaDaily.com and are read through daily feeds by thousands from all over the world, and I'm also one of them. He also answers questions by seekers on his site, thespiritualscientist.com, where his over 3,500 audio answers and several hundred articles are available. And we are really very fortunate to have Prabhuji today with us on the call. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I once again welcome you to this Bhakti Sanga Japan newsletter interview. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for giving us your valuable time and association for this interview, Prabhuji. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनंतकोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय हरे कृष्ण प्रभुजी. So
thank you for the opportunity. I'm happy to be here.
Hare Krishna. So thank you so much, Prabhuji, for accepting first the invite for this interview. And I was really very fortunate to meet you, I think 10 days before in UAE. And we had a very good class from you. And I just want to know how you were introduced to this Krishna consciousness, Prabhuji, and how was your journey throughout this Krishna consciousness for these many years?
I was introduced in my college days when I was studying engineering. I think there were three factors which led me to take to Krishna consciousness. One was intellectual, one was social, and the other was more relational or spiritual, you can say, more relational. So Krishna is the ultimate master in our life. So I like to use the acronym SIR, Sir. So S was social. From my childhood, I had a lot of interest in the power of education in transforming people. So when I was studying college, I was a part of a social welfare organization. And I used to go and teach in the slums, uneducated children or uneducated or poorly educated children, offering them free tuitions in various fields. And when I was doing that, I noticed that many of them came from dysfunctional families. There was domestic violence and alcoholism among their families. And I started thinking that teaching them history or math or English, how much is going to help them? So we started getting some anti-alcohol campaigners to come and speak to them. We also learned something and encouraged, especially primarily the fathers who were into alcoholism. And a small slum that we were a part of, that whole slum decided that we will give up alcohol. And we considered it to be a great success. Then we went home for our semester break. And I came back, not only the fathers, but even their kids had started drinking. There had been a local election. And in that election, one of the candidates, in order to woo the voters, had brought truckloads of free liquor. So that's when it struck me that actually we may be striving to open doors for others. They're providing them education or employment or any other supports. But it seems that everybody has some kind of trapdoors inside them. And those trapdoors open and they just fall inside. And opening doors externally without equipping them to close the doors, trapdoors. The trapdoors are basically the self-destructive habits. that they have. That is not really going to help. It was not just a problem for those people who were underprivileged living in slums. I could see that in my college also there were students who were quite intelligent, but they were self-sabotaging themselves by unhealthy habits. A close friend of mine was getting into alcoholism and he was just not able to give it up. I also had anger issues. So that's when I started reading the Bhagavad Gita, and then I came across to 336 in the Gita, that what is it that impels us to self-destructive actions? I felt this is what is vitally important. This is what I want to learn. And then I started studying it, applying the Gita in my life, and I started inviting the speakers to come in my hostel room and teach the Gita. So my anger went down substantially. My friend just gave up his alcoholism, and I started feeling this is what I really is of really of value. So then I completed my engineering, and after that I was working in a software company in India. And then I was also going to teach Bhagavad Gita to various colleges in small study groups in the evenings. So once I had an evening study group meeting, but my boss told me that you have to stay on because we have an urgent project deadline. So I said that I'll come back tomorrow early morning and do this. I need to go tonight. He said, no, you cannot go today. You have to stay. I tried to arrange some other speaker, but no one was available and we had to cancel the study group. So that around midnight when I was coming back, I started thinking that if I'm not writing these software programs, there are 1,000 other people who can do it, and many of them can do it better than me. But if I'm not teaching the Bhagavad Gita, how many people are there who are ready to teach it? So I felt I could contribute much more to society by studying and sharing the Gita's wisdom than I could by writing software programs. So that was more of the social aspect of why I took to Krishna consciousness, and and that is one of my reasons why my focus has always been on teaching. I never got into management and other things. I feel it is the power of education. We just equip people and let them have the resources by which they can choose to improve their lives if they want to. And then I was thinking about three factors that led me. I was the intellectual factor. I always wanted to be the number one in my class, and I was always the number one among the top people, but I was never like the number one in the whole university or in the whole classes across various divisions. And that was a nagging sense of disappointment for me. Then I gave in my engineering days, I gave my GRE exam. Since my childhood, I had a aptitude for language and aptitude for words. So generally, Indians do well in maths and analytical ability, but struggle in English. So I did very well in English, and I came first not only in my college, but in the history of my university. In fact, I was the first. I was the top in the entire Pune University at that time. So I was delighted. It was like one moment, yeah, who kind of thing. But afterwards, I realized that just looking at the mark sheet doesn't give much happiness. And it was when others congratulate me that there is happiness. And yes, I was a celebrity in my college. But somehow it happened that one after another, three of my friends forgot to congratulate. Not very close friends, but reasonable friends. They thought everybody knows it, everybody has congratulated. Why do we need to congratulate? So when the first friend forgot, I was annoyed. When the second friend forgot, I was irritated. The third friend forgot, I was enraged. Then I didn't want to sound pathetic. I think, asking why are you not congratulating me? But suddenly I felt as if I was looking at myself from above. Hey, wait a minute. You thought that becoming a topper will make you happy. But instead of becoming happy, you have actually become more dependent on others for your happiness. So it is that earlier you could just hang out with your friends, but now you have become so needy when you are with them. So I started looking ahead at my life, said whatever I might achieve, I might get into a Ivy League university, I might publish some papers in nature or science. I never had financial dreams. My dreams were always intellectual. I might write some best-selling author, I might best-selling books as a science popularizer. I was very much into science. But I might win some awards. But I thought all of these would still keep me dependent on others for my happiness. So that's when, again, that also led when I read the Bhagavad Gita, the verse 6.22. when Krishna talks about the stage of samadhi, that there is a state where we are so internally enriched that we no longer crave for anything more, nor do we lament when anything bad happens. So I felt when I read that verse, this is real achievement in life. No other achievement can actually free us from craving or lamenting. Only this state of inner contentment. So I felt this is what I should aspire for in my life. And that's what I'm still trying to do. So that was more from the intellectual perspective. From the relational perspective, my father always had a traveling job, and it was my mother who took care of me. But when I was in 10th, just after I finished my exams, my mother was diagnosed with terminal blood cancer, and she passed away within a month. So at that time, because of that, I was relationally almost deadened. I had, because to deal with the grief or whatever, had made myself quite numb. And I had always been thinking, what are these relationships about? What is the point of having relationships? At that time itself, I had read about some. I was at convent school, so I had read about some Christian saints, and I had also read some Indians Swami's books. So that time only I had decided I'm never going to get married. I wanted to focus on education and outreach that way. But it was when I read the Bhagavad Gita, and when I read about how actually in 10.8 and 9, 10.8, how it is not just that we understand Krishna with our heart, with our head, but we also direct our emotions towards him. Buddha bhava samanvitaha. And then how devotees bodhayantaha parasparam, how we can relish Krishna. So I realized that the relational longing that I have, the relational shutting down of my emotions that I have done, actually that is meant to be directed toward Krishna and those who are connected with Krishna. So that's how it is a natural step for me to try to become not just Krishna conscious or try to become Krishna conscious, but also try to do it as a monk and try to stay more and more in the community of devotees as I try to direct my love toward Krishna. Thank you.
Hari Hari. So that was really very interesting and inspiring journey, Prabhuji. So right from you said that yes, of course we have that false ego. I'm saying for myself that yes, I have that false ego that I want someone to appreciate me. So as you said, it was really a very good realization, Prabhuji. We want someone else for our happiness. What we are achieving, we are not having the happiness, but when someone says that, then we feel more happy. So I feel that that is a kind of false ego also, right? Mm,
I wouldn't necessarily, it's too harsh to call it false ego only because as
mhm,
a human being, we need appreciation.
mhm,
So it's like I would say false ego means when we want others to broadcast our glories to everyone else. But
mm.
it's a human need for appreciation. There's a difference. We cannot dismiss all of it as just false ego. Say if in a close relationship, say now if you do this interview and then you would like to actually know how well you ask the questions. And if I appreciate that, you are needing that appreciation is not an expression of ego. You're trying to do a service and you would like to know whether I'm doing the service properly or not. So if after this class I ask you whether the answer is relevant for your audience and you appreciate that, that's appreciation is not necessarily an stemming from pandering to the ego. So I would say there's a difference between appreciation and glorification. So glorification is more public. So seeking glorification is generally an expression of the ego. But seeking appreciation is a basic need of the heart.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for giving that difference actually between the appreciation and glorification. I very well understand now. Okay, maybe I'll apply it henceforth. So, and you have multiple commitments, right, Prabhuji? So every day you will be having your multiple commitments in each and every forum. And with that, how do you keep your doing your sadhana consistently? And from morning, like how do you make your plans for the day?
Because I keep traveling a lot, so sometimes the flights are late night and stuff like that. So I realized that two things. One is that we need to take care of our spiritual side. Nobody else will go to do that for us. It is we who have to take care of our soul. But at the same time, we cannot take care of our soul if we do not take care of our body. There's a letter of Prabhupada where he says that if you don't take care of your health now, in future, even if you are very enthusiastic to serve Krishna, you won't be able to do so. So basically, one of the things I've learned is that once we come to even to a little bit towards Sattva Guna, we start, not that I'm fully in Sattva Guna, but even a little bit towards Sattva Guna, we understand what are the needs of the body and what is, say, the greed of the body. So how much I need to sleep because I need rest, and how much am I sleeping because I'm just being lazy? How much I need to eat because I'm hungry, and how much am I eating because I'm craving and giving into the craving? So it's not easy always, but relatively it's not too difficult once you come to Sattva Guna. So basically, I see that I don't want to fight against my body. So it is like we don't have to work, if you consider pendulum, don't work against the body, don't work for the body. We work with the body. So I generally know how much rest I need to take. So I take that much rest and then I work on my sadhana. So in general, if we, rather than thinking that I have to follow this rule and I have to finish this at this particular time, that can work for some people. And if it works, that's excellent. But I focus more on Bhagavad Gita 6.5, where Krishna says we have to take responsibility for elevating ourselves. Uddhared atmanatmanam. Nobody else can do that. So if I truly care for myself, body, mind, and soul, then I will try to take care of all of them. So based on that understanding, what would be the responsible thing to do at a particular time? So sometimes it may be that you need to take more rest, take more rest. Sometimes it is that, many of the times it is that, no, this is important, do it right now. And other things can wait. But in general, if I try to have a mental meter of my inner strength. So inner strength could be in terms of if something doesn't work out, how much do I get irritated by it? If something I am planning goes wrong, do I really get annoyed? So that is like a meter to know if I'm getting too annoyed, too irritated, that means my spiritual strength level is low. So if my spiritual strength level is, so basically the dualities are there in life. If our reaction to the dualities is going much, much higher, then that is an indication that now I really have to prioritize. So for me, it is not so much the chanting as the studying scripture, immersing myself in spiritual wisdom that gives me strength. So then, if I find that I'm being affected by the dualities too much, then I take off. Then I may cut myself off from the phone and social media and responding to messages, or I can't cancel speaking engagements, but then I try to cancel meetings or cut down on meetings, try to carve out a period where I can immerse myself in Shastra. So, of course, there is a daily sadhana in terms of chanting, there is daily study of scripture. I write every day, so I have to contemplate Shastra. I speak almost every day, one or two classes. I have to contemplate on that. Having some time to immerse ourselves in the things that give us strength is very helpful. So, once we take responsibility for ourselves and then make sure that we are doing the things that give us strength, then I think we all can find out the best way we can sustain ourselves.
Very, very beautiful, Prabhuji. So knowing the inner strength. So means like what I understood is we should know where we can do, means we can sustain in bhakti. So which means like yeah, yes, our daily sadhana is there, but still apart from that, we'll have to keep engaged in bhakti, so that we have to find out where we can be sustainable in that case.
Yes.
So
See, often if you consider serious bhakti, it has two aspects to it, that intense but also sustainable. Sometimes in the name of being intense, we may do something which are not sustainable. And sometimes in the name of being sustainable, we will never become intense. So how to find that is not an easy balance. So we always have to, sometimes in the name of being sustainable, I have become less intense than what I can be. Sometimes in the name of being intense, I'm not been doing something sustainably. So I think each of us has to find that balance ourselves.
So for me, I think that sustainability is lagging in chanting. I think means like intense also is not there. Sustainability is there, but intensity is not there. Yeah, as you said, sustainability and intensity both it should be there, right, Prabhuji?
Yes, true.
Thank you for making that to understand, Prabhuji. And Prabhuji, apart from means according to your view, what is a quality that a devotee should develop in himself or herself? What is the important quality if you want?
Curiosity. Curiosity. We often
Curious.
talk about eagerness to hear as a quality of a devotee, samutkantha. So that is true, but I feel it's curiosity. I feel a lot of problems within our devotee community and outside come because of judgmentality. Judgmental. Oh, this is wrong. This is a deviation. This is a fall down. These people are Mayavadis. These people are like this. Our philosophy tells us sarvopadi vinirmuktam. Give up all labels. But we have labels for everything that we don't agree with. This is like this is a deviation. This is this. This is that. So the opposite of judgmentality is curiosity. That instead of putting a label, oh, this person doing this is wrong. Okay, if you're doing this, what what makes you think this should be done? What is your reasoning behind it? And everybody has a reason for what they do, even if their reason is not very reasonable, but they have a reason. So I feel curiosity is it's a part of our shastra, Tato Brahma Jigyasa. So Brahma Jigyasa is not just at the start of our spiritual life, okay, I'm not the body, I'm the soul. It is something which you always need to have. So if some devotee is doing something which I consider is wrong, so simply labeling and condemning that devotee, if I have curiosity, okay, what is that devotee thinking? Now, I have traveled across the world and I have met somehow because of my nature and my outreach. I don't just meet the successes of our preaching, I also meet the casualties of our preaching. People who, by our harsh words or harsh dealings, have become alienated. So I feel, very few people are bad hearted, that nobody wants to drive anyone away from Krishna. But there's a huge amount of judgmentality which pushes people away. This is a box in which every devotee has to fit. And if a devotee is not fitting in that box, then that devotee is not a serious devotee. That devotee is not a sincere devotee. That devotee is a bad devotee. So that doesn't work. The Prabhupada had serious full-time devotees who traveled across the world at his one command. And Prabhupada had life members who did enormous service, but they didn't even chant 16 rounds. They didn't even become initiated. And Prabhupada accepted and appreciated all of them, both kinds of devotees. So I feel that curiosity is vital for a devotee. Curiosity will prevent judgmentality. Curiosity will prevent the presumption of certainty. This is right, and everything that is not this way is wrong. And that's what often leads to fanaticism. So curiosity is, I think, the most important virtue that can solve a lot of problems in our personal, social lives, and as well as in our outreach. So curiosity, the way I define it is that this is what I know, this is what I don't know. So curiosity is not the devaluing what I know, but valuing what I don't know. Being open to the possibility that what I don't know may be more important than what I know. So in this sense, if you take curiosity, curiosity is actually non-different from humility. It's intellectual humility. That there's humility is physical humility. I fold my hands, I offer obeisances. But sometimes we may fold our hands and offer obeisances. My dear Prabhu, you are a rascal. So there is humility in the conventional address, but we are using the word Prabhu, but we may not use the word you are a rascal, but we speak in such a way that we dehumanize others, demean others. So what I know about this person, okay, this person did this XYZ action and I don't agree with this. I find it odd. But what do I not know about this person? Why are they doing something like this? So if I have curiosity, then it will prevent relationships from getting burned out. And that's one way I would say that guhyam akhyati puchati, which is required among devotees. opening our hearts to others and hearing when others open their hearts. That will be possible only when we have curiosity. If we have judgmentality or certainty, then we will not give others the space to open their hearts. And then that leads to a lot of loneliness, especially among leaders, because leaders have to set an example. And because they have to set an example, if they have some issues, some concerns, some worries, they can't open it to anyone. Because if you are worried about this, I thought you're such an advanced devotee. How can you have worry? So everybody gets, when there is no curiosity, the judgmentality, everybody starts functioning based only on what will other devotees think about me. And that's how we may have some concerns, but instead of dealing with those concerns, we bury those concerns. And then that leads to a lot of problems in the long run, because a wound that is denied is a wound that is doubled. And that becomes far more of a problem in the long run.
Prabhuji, lastly, you said, right? We are burying our concerns, right? So, which means we are not opening ourselves to other devotees. So do you mean like that?
Yes, exactly. Because we feel that others will judge me and others will be so judgmental. So
correct.
I cannot speak it to others.
But that is what happening, right, Prabhuji? So when we want to say, we think, yes, devotees are really merciful, and when we go and talk with them, so
that's why we need to find, like, also in a general level, we need to, as devotees, we all need to develop curiosity, but that will take time. But at a more personal level, we can try to see people who are like-minded. So those who are like-minded, we will find, they are also going through similar situation as we are going through. Say if somebody has lost their job and they're in great anxiety. Now, if somebody who has so much financial security or something like that, they have no financial anxiety, we go and ask them, they will just say, but depend on Krishna, chant Hare Krishna, these things will just come and go. So that's okay. But so we may also need something practical. So like-minded devotees means that if I come to somebody with a practical problem, they don't give a philosophical solution. That is being unlike-minded. If somebody comes and says, oh, prasadam is over, you go and ask the kitchen in charge for a festival. Prasadam is over. The prasadam says, chant Hare Krishna and be happy. No, that's not going to work, isn't it? So we can give a philosophical perspective, but we also need to give a practical solution. So if somebody only gives a philosophical perspective, philosophical answer, and doesn't give anything practical, then we will not feel very satisfied by that answer. On the other hand, somebody gives only practical, well, we may say that practical problems will keep coming. We are not learning philosophy and growing by that. So a philosophical perspective plus a practical strategy, a practical solution. So like-minded devotees can help us get both. So we need to take the responsibility to find out like-minded devotees. And that way we'll be able to open our hearts and share with them.
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. That was really very helpful. And so how you got introduced to Bhakti Sanga, Prabhuji? So
I think it was possibly Shamagori Mataji who told me about the classes that were happening. And I think it was after I started traveling abroad only. I think 2014 I had come there. And I had done a evening program. They said we'll have a morning program. They told me that morning program, some devotees came. They showed me on Bhakti Sanga that, oh, there's so many devotees online. I said, it's amazing. Where did you get so many devotees from? They said, we have daily classes like this. Oh, really? So I was quite impressed by that. So when I was in India, I don't think I had any idea about the scale of what was going on. So, so I think that was maybe before that I might have given one class, but I don't really remember that. But 2014, when I came abroad, that was the first memory of it all. So from that time, I've been trying to be of some service.
actually, we should thank you, Prabhuji. We should thank Shamagori Mataji also for bringing you. And we are always enjoying your, we are getting nice, deep perspective, different perspective of each and every class, whichever you take on Bhakti Sangha, and not only in Bhakti Sangha, even in other places also. So thank you so much for giving us those different perspectives. And In this Krishna consciousness movement, what do you think that there is, if you want that some project has to be done, what do you think that it would be good if we get this in this moment?
More of sharing Shastric insights with the world.
Mm.
That right now, philosophy is largely seen as a tool for converting people into bhakti. And that is good. That means we want to study philosophy so that I can get some points so that I can speak in my classes and attract others, impress others, attract others, inspire others, whatever. So philosophy is primarily seen as a tool for converting people. And at least because of that, we are studying. That is good. But philosophy can also be a resource for us to make better sense of our life and our world and even what is happening in the devotional world. But also those who may not become devotees. Shastra can also offer them some vision by which they can make better sense of their lives. So I feel so I have like a uh, mental framework. See, we have insiders who are teachers and we have insiders who are students. So insider to insider classes are like Bhakti Sanga or Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav. They're largely insider to insider. Hmm. Then there are insider teachers and outsider students. So these are, for example, our uh, Sunday program. The new people come, or we go to colleges and do programs. These are more like what we call as preaching or outreach. So there's insider to outsider. Then there is outsider to outsider. That is our reputation. So if somebody comes to a temple and then they go back and then their relatives ask them, how was your experience there? Their friends ask them. So we as a movement have not cared much for that outsider to outsider. What is our reputation? Say, if somebody doesn't become a devotee, then we just neglect them. Hmm? We just don't pay much attention to them. But they can be an outsider who can be a well-wisher for us. Who can be, so among outsiders also, there are outsiders who are teachers or who are leaders, who are influencers. And there are outsiders who are followers. So I would like to see if we could increase the connection between insider teachers and outsider teachers. So instead of seeing that all outsiders are potential students who should become insiders, some outsiders may never become insiders, but they are outsiders who are in an influential position. And if they become more favorable, they can do a huge amount of positive publicity and positive awareness for us. So, for example, when Prabhupada started the Bhaktivedanta Institute, his focus, he said the purpose of the BI was meant for scientific outreach. The purpose of Bhaktivedanta Institute is to increase the prestige of ISKCON. So he didn't say that the purpose is to make the scientists into devotees. They became wonderful, but the scientists don't become devotees. The scientists also say, some prominent scientist says that, okay, this Bhagavad Gita, this Bhagavatam, this Bhakti tradition has has wisdom that science can learn from. That this mantra chanting has some scientific dimensions, there's some scientific validation to this. That statement itself would have a huge weight. So slowly, I think we as a movement are starting to do that. That we accept people who are outsiders in leading positions. They may not become insiders, but if we can have this outsider to insider teachers to outsider teachers connection. See, Prabhupada also met many sreshthas, many leaders, and he, for example, he talked with Arnold Toynbee. But there's no question of Arnold Toynbee becoming a devotee. But Prabhupada had a very meaningful interaction with him. So I feel that if we can pay more attention on this insider teacher to outsider teacher communication, and then outsiders, they share things with the outsiders, then we can have a multiplier effect in spreading the wisdom of scripture to many people who may not necessarily come to our movement and ever become insiders. But they will still be benefited, they may still be appreciative. So our programs like Food for Life or midday meals are doing something like that. But that's at a humanitarian level. But can we also do it at the intellectual level, at a philosophical level? That is something which I feel the Catholic Church does very well. Muslims are also doing very, very well. That's why whenever it is because Muslim leaders have reached out to the outsider leaders That's why what happens if whenever there is any attack by any Islamic extremists and there's a killing, the first response is not so much condemnation of that terrorist activity. The first is that condemnation that we are not criticizing Islam. We don't want any Islamophobia. So what has happened is even Buddhists have done excellent work in this area, where Buddhism is considered to be like a very cool religion. It's not even considered to be a religion. It's a cool thing. So I feel that we as a movement are lacking in that, where rather than trying to convert all outsiders to become insiders, we just let the outsiders be where they are and they spread positive vibes about us. So that's something which I feel is quite lacking, and I would like to do that whatever capacity I can.
Oh, that was really very different perspective, Prabhuji. I have never heard about this. So, as you said, yes, we try to make the outsiders to become insiders, but this perspective is really very nice. That will be helpful also, as you said. So, and even we see in the case of Prabhupada, as you said, one example, and even with George Harrison also, right? He was also not initiated, and Prabhupada just.
George Harrison did become a follower, but then he hid his being a follower so that people would not think that he had joined a cult. So he was like he used to chant and it never became
Mhm.
initiated. So I would say that, yeah, he was an outsider. Well, I think it would be a little harsh to considering the amount of service that he did to call him an outsider. So even the categories of insider and outsider are also not watertight. So,
Okay.
sometimes Ravindra Sarpro was telling me that when they were doing outreach, at that time, becoming a devotee, when they were doing preaching, becoming a devotee meant joining the temple, moving into the temple. That was the idea. So he
Mm.
said, when we in Philadelphia, he was the president. He said there are many Indians who started coming, and they were coming every week. And when they were coming, we were very excited. We would preach to them, we would connect with them. But afterwards, we soon realized that they are not going to move into the temple. The Indians have come to America for professional success, for financial growth, and then we decided these are not going to become devotees. So we would pay no attention to them, and they would still keep coming. So the situation was such that if any person on the streets would have asked these people who are coming to our temples, he says, which religious group do you belong to? They would have said, yeah, we are Hare Krishnas. But if those same people had asked us, are these people Hare Krishnas? No, they are not Hare Krishnas. So, because so then it was after some years, especially the late 1980s, that we started realizing these people are actually committed, but their commitment is different. That they are never going to become insiders in the sense of becoming residents of the temple, but that doesn't mean that they're not serious. So, in that sense, sometimes insider outsider is also it's a subjective category. So I would hesitate to consider George Harrison to be an outsider. So he
Okay.
called himself what was the word he used in the chant Hare Krishna and be happy. We have a shorter version of that interview in that book, but there's a unabridged interview in Veda base. So there, I think he uses the word, I am a plain clothes devotee, something like that. So I'm a plain
Sorry.
clothes devotee. Plain
Ah,
clothes devotee. Plain
okay.
clothes means he doesn't wear devotional attire, but he said, I'm a, like, there's another word is a closet devotee. Closet devotee means you don't show in public that you are a devotee, but
Mm.
he was very much devotionally inclined. So, yes, the Prabhupada didn't force him to become an insider. That is true. So, in that sense, you could say that he was not exactly an insider according to the conventional definitions of what an insider was expected to be in those times. But calling him an outsider is a bit too dismissive of his service that was done by him.
Mm. Thank you, Prabhuji. And you have been in Bhakti Sangha, I think, to 2014 you started, and it's been 10 years. And you have been seeing Bhakti Sangha, like how we are functioning. And so, what would you like to suggest to improve on Bhakti Sangha? Do you have anything to suggest for us?
I think what you are doing is a remarkable service, and I feel that it has led to many others also being inspired and trying to do something similar at various levels. So I saw that apart from the morning class, you also have some other classes and you have multiple speakers. So it's become a whole, you could say, a university in itself, where you are having multiple departments and multiple avenues of connecting with Shastra and encouraging others to connect with Shastra. So it's a remarkable initiative. My only suggestion would be that spread the word around and inspire others. Everybody may not be able to join. I think you also have 2-3 different forums where people can join at different timings. But if people cannot join here, I encourage people to create similar systems. Nowadays, there's a lot of phenomenal outreach happening in the vernacular languages in India. So, I know some devotees who do regular classes in Telugu or Tamil, and they get several hundred devotees in the mornings. So, and it's not, some are centered on one particular person and preacher, some are not. So it is, I think, just spreading the word around, encouraging others to do it, maybe doing it in different languages for people. So I think that just the model that you're doing is excellent. Just try to expand or replicate it. And best wishes for all of you who are involved in sustaining this day after day, week after week, year after year. So it's the name also is very nice, that that we all in Bhakti we need Sangha. So I think many people took it up during the pandemic because there was no alternative. So that is nice in one sense. I had asked my spiritual master Radhanath Maharaj that when the child is in the womb, the child prays, Krishna, I don't want to come out of this womb, because outside there is pleasure. Here there is pain, and there is realization there is pain. So I am prayerful, I am devoted to you. So I don't want to come out here. So then still he comes out, the child comes out. So is it that Krishna does not listen to the prayer? So Maharaj said, no, Krishna always listens to our prayers, but Krishna does not want devotion under compulsion. That because the circumstances leave us no alternative, that's why we want to practice bhakti. No, okay, it's good that time we practice bhakti, but even when those circumstances are not there, do we keep practicing bhakti? So when the child is sent out of the womb, that is not Krishna rejecting the prayer of the child, but Krishna, in one sense, testing the seriousness of the devotion of the child. So similarly, when there was no alternative, going online is something which everyone did. But you had started this long before that, and you continued it long after that also. So it is devotion not out of compulsion, but it's devotion out of innovation. It is devotion out of creativity, to find a forum for devotees to connect regularly. So kudos to you. Continue it on.
Haribol, Prabhuji, thank you. Thank you so much for your wonderful words for Bhakti Sangha. And yes, Prabhuji, we are also trying to make it more accessible to all over the world, to all the devotees. And with your prayers and blessings, hopefully we will do it still more accessible to all the devotees. And thank you so much, Prabhuji. So with this, I think we can end the interview. And, and we are very grateful for your... We are very grateful for your giving us your time and association once again for this interview, Prabhuji. So with your permission, we can end the interview, Prabhuji, with Vaishnava pranams. Vancha kalpa tripasya kripa sindhu pevacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnava Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhuji ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.